I want to start this video by asking you guys a very important question, and that is, do you agree with the student loan debt cancellation or not? And I'm asking this because I hear people talking, and on one side, some people are saying, well, this is extremely unfair because I already paid all my student loans and I never got any free money. And then some people are saying, well, I had student loans, I had to work 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs just to pay these off. And some other people are saying, well, I filed for bankruptcy and my student loans didn't go away. So why is it that now some people are getting some of their student loans forgiven for free? Now, on the other side, you have people saying, well, student loan debt is really killing the millennials or hurting them. So if we can get rid of this debt, then we should, because then we can give them like a fresh start. But I really want to know what you guys think about this subject. Do you actually agree with student loan debt cancellation or not? Comment down below, let me know what you think. And this is actually a really important topic because right now there's the executive order for $10,000 in forgiveness. And there were actually talks and suggestions that $10,000 wasn't actually enough. So there were suggestions that this should have been at least $50,000 in forgiveness. And then there was also a suggestion that it should be unlimited, meaning that we should forgive as much student loan debt as possible. But then that would kind of be strange because it's like some degrees will cost $40,000 or $50,000 depending on which school you go to. And there are some degrees that are going to cost you like $150K. So if unlimited student loan forgiveness came about, then it would be like, well, degrees are just free and everybody could go to college now and not pay any money. But let's actually break down the details of this $10,000 in student loan forgiveness. And I'm actually going to save my thoughts for the end of the video. But like I said before, comment down below because I really want to see what you guys think. And also check the comments as well to see what other people are saying and the reasons for their answers as well. So let's now get into the details. So President Biden has announced this plan for student loan forgiveness of $10,000 per person or per borrower, and this is going to be eligible for people making less than $125,000 per year. That's for single people, and also for married couples making less than $250,000 per year. Now, initially, it was said that this student loan forgiveness or the amount forgiven would not be added to your taxable income. However, some individual states are now taking it onto themselves to actually tax or propose a tax for the student loan forgiveness. So we'll just have to kind of like sit around and see how that plays out. But initially, it was supposedly going to be tax-free, and usually loans that are forgiven go towards your taxable income, or they do count. But there was some clause that was put into the American Rescue Plan that excludes this $10,000 in student loan forgiveness from being taxed. Now, there was also a freeze put on student loan payments starting in March 2020, and that was supposed to end a couple months back, but it has actually been extended. It has been extended 6 times. It was also supposed to end on the 1st of September. However, it has been extended a final time until the 31st of December. And I'm mentioning this in this video because this ties in with everything that I'm going to talk about in this video. Now, before I go any further in the video, I just want to say that I have no student loans. This video is coming from someone with a completely neutral perspective. I don't owe any money in student loans. I'm not going to be benefiting from this $10,000 in student loan forgiveness or $50,000 in student loan forgiveness if it gets to that amount. The only reason for me making this video is to help get the details out there, and then also to see the perspective of my viewers on student loan forgiveness and what they think. So again, comment down below, let me know if you think this is a good move or a bad idea, and also explain why you think it's either a good idea or a bad idea, and also go ahead and view what other people are saying in the comments as well. Now, I'm going to list, or I'm going to go through all the details because some people are upset with other people because they think differently about the whole student loan forgiveness thing. But I think that everyone just isn't aware of all the details. And if they were aware of all the details, then maybe they would be a little less angry, or who knows, maybe even a lot more angry with other people for thinking the way that they think. So first of all, let's go through the details. And I just went through basically who is going to benefit or who qualifies. But now I want to talk about the amount of student loans that have already been forgiven by President Biden, just to give some perspective on why some people are just outrageously mad right now. So since he took office, he's already canceled over $30 billion in student loan debt. And this was for special groups of people, or like targeted groups of people. So for example, this was for like people with disabilities, students that got defrauded, public sector employees and targeted groups of people like that. However, this $10,000 in student loan forgiveness right now is going to be a broad student loan forgiveness for just about everyone that can qualify with the income requirements. Now, we have around 40 million people that have student loan debt, and surprisingly, less than 30% of these people have less than $10,000 in student loan debt. So 70% or over 70% of these people with student loan debt, they have more than $10,000 on their loans. And so this $10,000 in student loan forgiveness is not going to relieve them of their entire student loan debt, but instead it's just going to cut their debt down by $10,000, and roughly about 30% are actually getting rid of the debt completely. Now, it is estimated that this is going to cost the government over $330 billion to forgive borrowers $10,000 in student loan debt. And let's now get into what the Republicans are saying, the arguments from that side, and also what the Democrats are saying, and the reasons for saying what they're saying. And then also, before we get into that, just a quick reminder, if you guys are new to the channel, my name is Eann, and on this channel, I talk about ways to make money, ways to save money, ways to invest your money. So if you guys like this type of content, you like these videos, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. I'll really appreciate it. It's 100% free, won't cost you anything. Also, don't forget to subscribe with the notifications on. That way you never miss the updates of when I post new videos. But let's get into what the Republicans are saying first, and then we'll talk about what the Democrats are saying. So Republicans are saying that this student loan forgiveness is 100% a bad idea because, for one, it's a handout to rich people at the cost of low-income Americans because, like I just mentioned before, the estimated cost to the government is over $330 billion, and then that would be at the burden of taxpayers. So basically, they're saying, well, you know, the average person who leaves high school and starts a small business or goes to work a job and they are a low-income earner, they're going to have to pay taxes to fund paying off the student loan debts of people who went to college to get degrees. They're then going to earn them a lot more money, and then they're going to end up being wealthy, and these poor Americans are going to have to pay for the college or for their college education. Now, they also argue that this is also very unfair for other Americans who have already paid their student loans. So for example, let's say you went to college 10 years ago and you were in student loan debt and you had to work 5 jobs just to pay it off, and you paid off your student loan debts maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and you had to work really hard to pay it off. They're saying that that is actually very unfair to you because while you had to struggle to work multiple jobs for many years just to break even and pay your student loans off, people who didn't struggle, people who didn't work those extra hours, who never went through any of that pain, they simply are getting this for free. Now, they also argue that this is unfair to people who just never went to college because this means that if you went to at least your local community college and you got like a degree and it cost you, let's say, $25,000, then you'd only pay $15,000 out of pocket because you get $10,000 forgiven. But because you didn't go to college, you're just missing out on this free $10,000. Now, they're also arguing that the student loan forgiveness is 100% illegal because Congress didn't give the president authority to actually do this. And this is probably going to end up in court, and then I guess we'll just have to wait around to see the outcome to see if this actually holds up or not. Now, let's talk about what the Democrats are saying. And they're saying that $10,000 in student loan debt forgiveness is actually not enough. In fact, they were actually pushing for a $50,000 in student loan debt forgiveness. And I just mentioned that the $10,000 forgiveness is going to cost the government like $330 billion. And if we were to bump that up to $50,000 in student loan forgiveness, it is estimated that it would cost the government almost $1 trillion. Now, there are some Democrats who have proposed canceling as much student loans as possible, so that doesn't actually put a number on it, but I'm assuming that if they proposed $50,000 and then they proposed as much as possible, it would be more than $50,000. So there have been talks about that, and the Democrats are saying that this is necessary because it's going to help with the struggling economy, and a lot of Americans are struggling and need this student loan forgiveness because they simply cannot manage with their low wages and to be burdened down by this debt. Now, economists have also said that this student loan forgiveness is going to aid with inflation going up. And then we have the economists also saying that colleges and also universities are now going to factor in this student loan forgiveness, and in turn, they're going to be increasing college tuitions and fees. So based on this, they're saying that inflation is going to go up even more because now student loans are forgiven up to $10,000, but colleges are going to be increasing their fees. So it's going to still be very expensive to go to college. So we have that, and then there's also the issue where we have the student loan moratorium, in which student loan repayments have been paused for roughly the past 2 years. That has been extended around 6 times. People are arguing that it should not be extended until December 31st because these people that are benefiting from this are not low-income Americans, but instead they're highly skilled professionals like doctors, lawyers, investment bankers, and people that have high enough income that they could afford to pay their student loans. And then there's talk that there's going to be a lot of delinquencies early next year because these people have gone 2 full years without having to pay their student loans. So they have now gotten used to not having to budget to pay these loans for over 2 years. And so when the moratorium ends in December, these people are not going to be paying the student loans, and there's going to be a lot of delinquencies, which is also going to destroy these people's credit scores because they're just not going to be able to pay their student loans after going 2 full years without having to pay them. Now, the question is, who's at fault here? Because there's some people that are saying that this is the fault of these students, and some people are saying it's the fault of universities because these universities are giving people kind of like false hope by trying to get them to sign up or enroll in some program where they know that there are not enough jobs, or the universities just don't do enough to place these people in high enough paying jobs so that they can actually repay these loans. So again, comment below, let me know who you think is at fault here. Is it the students? Is it the universities? Or is it the government? Now, with all that said, here are my thoughts on this issue. Now, remember, this is coming from someone that doesn't have student loans, and I'm not going to benefit in any way from this, but I sympathize with both sides, and here's why I sympathize with both sides. If I had student loan debt and I worked 3 jobs to pay my student loans off, and I finished paying for them like 2 to 3 years ago, and now I found out that $10,000 was going to be forgiven, I'm going to be completely honest. I would be upset knowing that I went through all that struggle just to pay these loans off, and now other people who went to school with me at the same time who didn't do all that work and all that struggle to pay their student loans off are now going to get $10,000 forgiven. So if I were to put myself in that position, then I would be a little upset. But now on the other side, I also sympathize with the people that are in debt because I was also young and dumb. I mean, I'm still young, so I'm gonna say I was younger and dumber at one point. And I'm saying this because I've had conversations with people and they tell me that they have a degree, and I always ask them what their degree is in. And sometimes when they tell me, in my mind, I don't say it out loud, but in my mind I'm saying, you just went to school to waste time and to waste the money because there are so many degrees now that are completely useless, and they're useless not because of what's inside the degree, but because you can't get a job in that field that's going to pay you over $50,000 a year. And I'm also sympathizing with these people because when you go to like school, it's like a marketing funnel, right? Where they're always trying to market you to get higher education. So once you get into high school, it's like, okay, you need to go to college next. And then when you go to college, it's like, okay, now you need to specialize in something. And so it's always like funneling you up this sales funnel to get you into more debt. So if you're not very careful, you could be led into a lot of student loan debt. And if I were that person who went to college and did some degree and I was like $60,000 in student loan debt, and I was only making $40,000 per year or $35,000 per year, and I wasn't even able to get a job in the profession that I went to college to study for, then yes, honestly speaking, if I put myself in the shoes of those people, then I would gladly accept this $10,000 in student loan forgiveness. So it's like having a 19-year-old and they're just not fully aware of the implications of how this could potentially mess up their lives if they go and commit to some degree that they can't get a job for, or even if they can get a job there, then they can't earn enough money that they think they could earn, because you go to university and they'll tell you that if you do this degree and you get this profession, then you're gonna make $125,000 per year. But when you actually leave school, you find out that that was actually a lie. There are no jobs paying $125,000 a year for that position. Instead, they're only paying $45,000. So I think a lot of young people can easily be misguided, and they're just not aware of the implications of what they're actually committing to when they go and take out these student loans. But again, that's not an excuse, but still I sympathize with these people as well. So without taking any sides, I do sympathize with the people who argue that student loan forgiveness is wrong, and also sympathize with the people who say that it's right, because to me, both sides have valid points, and it just depends on whose shoe you're in for you to take a side here. Now, let me know if you think this was a good idea, or in general you think it was a bad idea. Also, let me know what you think this is going to do for the future of the economy. Do you think that this is going to cause a lot of people's credit scores to go down when the moratorium ends on December 31st? Do you actually think that they're going to extend it once again? Do you think that universities are now going to increase their tuition because of this $10,000 in forgiveness? And with that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you like the content. Subscribe so you never miss the updates of when I post new videos. And I will see you guys very soon in the next one.